I still remember the first time I heard your voice.
And the first time I saw the sadness in your eyes.
I confessed my sins to a stranger.
And I fell in love with every single one of them. I confessed my sins to a stranger.
And I fell in love with every single one of them.
I looked for you in the garden. I needed to see your face, and I prayed you wouldn't. But my soul betrayed me.
Your drawing, it was a silent confession.
It was the only way I found to touch you. I was so afraid you'd push me away.
I was even more afraid I wouldn't be able to. That kiss in the chapel, it was my greatest sin.
No. It was your first honest prayer.
You traded the security of your vows for
this. I didn't trade. I found what my vows were always searching for.
Our love was born in the shadows of a sacred place.
And now, it lives in the light.
You traded the security of your vows for
this. I didn't trade. I found what my vows were always searching for.
Follow us, because tomorrow Bia is going to tell our full story. I'll be waiting for you. Love you all.
My name is Leah. I'm 22 years old and I live in Lisbon. I'm an artist. For me, the goal was never black and white. It was always an explosion of colors, feelings, and chaos. I never looked for peace in religion, but in a moment of desperation, I sought out a confessional. I wasn't looking for God. Little did I know I was about to find an angel. This is the story of how a nun's voice on the other side of a screen became the only color my soul needed. Her name is Sophia. I walked into that convent feeling like a monster. My heart was beating with the love the world told me was a sin, and an attraction to another woman that consumed me. I knelt in the darkness of the confessional, ready to hear judgment, condemnation, but the voice that answered me was not that of a judge. It was calm, soft, and had a musical quality that instantly soothed me. I confessed my guilt, but instead of dogma, she offered me understanding. She spoke of love in a way no one ever had. I couldn't see her face, but I fell in love with her soul right there, in that dark box. I had to know who the woman behind that voice was.
Before we continue, tell me, have you ever fallen in love with someone's soul before you even knew their face? Have you ever felt a connection so deep it defied all logic? If so, subscribe and share your story in the comments. I spent the next week obsessed. I went back to the convent, not to confess, but to search. I needed to find the face that belonged to that voice. I found her in the garden. Sister Sophia. She was even more beautiful than I could have imagined, with a serenity that seemed to be fighting a deep sadness in her eyes. When our eyes met, I knew it was her. My heart almost stopped. We exchanged a few words, and her voice, now in the open air, was even more captivating. I was a mess of nerves and admiration. To show her what I felt, I did the only thing I knew how to do. I drew her eyes, the window to the trapped soul I had seen. I accidentally dropped my sketchbook as I left, praying she would find it. It was a desperate gamble, an invitation for her to see my heart, as I had heard her. And now, all I could do was wait and see if my art would be enough to call her out from behind her wall. The wait was agony. Had she found the drawing, was she shocked, frightened, or she felt the same connection I had? The uncertainty was driving me crazy. My passion, which was once a confusion, now had a name and a face. Sophia, a nun. The situation was impossible, but the feeling was undeniable. I decided I couldn't live in doubt. I had to see her again. I returned to the convent that night, my heart pounding wildly. I found her in the dimly lit chapel, alone, a candlelight dancing on her face, making her look even more ethereal. She was holding my sketchbook. "I think I forgot this," I said, my soft voice echoing in the sacred silence. Her eyes met mine, and in them I saw the same war that was raging in my own chest. She walked towards me, and I held my breath.
That moment would decide everything. If she gave me the book and walked away, our story would end there. But she didn't. Instead, her hand rose and, with a touch that felt like it burned, she caressed my face. Her vow, my confession, everything disappeared in that touch. Her touch was an absolution, a silent permission to feel everything I had tried to suppress. Tears filled my eyes and hers as well. "This is impossible, Leah," she whispered, her voice broken. "I know," I replied. But even knowing we didn't pull away, that moment wasn't about logic or rules. It was about two souls recognizing each other, finally, without barriers. Our story didn't need a passionate kiss there. That touch, that silent confession in each other's eyes was more intimate than any kiss. The next day, I returned to the convent. There was an envelope for me at the reception, my sketchbook. My heart sank, but inside there was a small note, an address, a date. 1 week later, a small cafe in the city. It was a leap into the abyss, a total risk. She wasn't just returning my drawing, she was returning my hope, giving us a chance on neutral ground, far from the walls that imprisoned her. The question was no longer whether our love was a sin. The question was whether we would have the courage to live it. And I knew my answer. The week of waiting felt like a year. On the appointed day, I sat in the cafe, my hands trembling. What if she didn't come? What if fear was stronger? Then the cafe door opened, and there she was, Sophia. Without her habit, in a simple pair of jeans and a sweater, she looked real, human, and absolutely terrified. When our eyes met across the room, a smile of relief and pure happiness lit up her face and mine. She sat in front of me. She was no longer Sister Sophia. She was just Sophia. And I was just Leah. The lesson I learned with her wasn't about religion. It was about faith. The faith that love, in its truest form, can never be a sin. It is the most sacred force that exists. I learned that sometimes the walls we build to protect ourselves are the same prisons that keep us from living, and that true salvation isn't in avoiding temptation, but in having the courage to recognize it as our true path. Our love didn't break a vow, it created a new one, to never hide from each other again.